Title: The Immortal Echo of Villa Esperanza. Dust danced in the air, painting the desolation of Villa Esperanza in sepia tones. Marcos, camera in hand, walked down the main street, a ghostly echo of what was once a bustling mining town. The houses crumbled like skeletons exposed to the sun, their windows, empty sockets, stared with silent despair at the passage of time. It was a forgotten place, erased from maps and collective memory, a paradise for lovers of the macabre and seekers of lost stories like Marcos. Perfect for the documentary, he murmured, adjusting the focus of his lens. His project, an exploration of the ghost towns of South America, had led him to this remote corner of Argentina. A chill ran down his spine, not from the cold, but from a strange feeling of being watched. He ignored the premonition and continued filming, capturing the decadent beauty of the church, the rusted blacksmith's shop, and the ballroom, where the notes of a waltz still seemed to float in the air. As he walked, he noticed something odd. A woman, wearing a floral apron, swept the entrance to a house with unusual diligence. A man, wearing a wide-brimmed hat, sharpened a knife on the porch. A little girl played with a rag doll in the garden, laughing with a joy that resonated hollowly in the sepulchral silence of the town. Marco smiled. Incredible. Local actors. This will give the documentary an authentic touch. He approached the woman sweeping. "Excuse me, ma'am, are you participating in some kind of theatrical performance?" The woman looked up, her eyes, sunken and dull, stared at him without recognition. She continued sweeping, as if he weren't there. Marcos frowned, puzzled. He tried to talk to the man in the hat, but he didn't respond either, concentrating on his task with an almost obsessive intensity. The girl, upon seeing him, stopped laughing and looked at him with an inscrutable expression. How strange, Marcos thought. Maybe they don't like being disturbed. He continued exploring, increasingly intrigued and disturbed at the same time. In every house, on every corner, he found people performing their daily activities, oblivious to his presence, ignorant of the passage of time. An old man read the newspaper on a park bench, a couple danced an invisible waltz in the ballroom, a group of men played cards in the bar. All trapped in a temporal loop, repeating their actions over and over. The atmosphere grew heavier with each passing minute. The sun began to set behind the mountains, tinting the sky a blood-red orange. The shadows lengthened, transforming the town into a labyrinth of silent horrors. Marcos felt madness lurking around every corner. Suddenly, he heard a voice, a guttural whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. "Welcome to our eternal home." Fear paralyzed him. He looked around, searching for the source of the whisper, but saw only the inhabitants of Villa Esperanza, absorbed in their incessant rituals. The voice repeated the phrase, this time louder, closer. "Welcome to our eternal home." Marcos felt the ground tremble beneath his feet. The houses moved, the streets twisted, the entire town seemed to come alive, enveloping him in a deadly embrace. The specters stopped moving and looked at him, their empty eyes filled with infinite sadness. "Join us," whispered the woman in the floral apron, approaching him with a macabre smile. "Rest in peace, forever." Marcos tried to run, but his legs wouldn't respond. He was trapped, paralyzed by terror. The specters approached, extending their cold, bony hands towards him. He felt the icy touch of their fingers on his skin, the promise of an eternity of suffering and despair. In a last effort, he screamed, a heartbreaking scream that echoed in the silence of Villa Esperanza. He closed his eyes, expecting the worst. When he opened them, he was lying at the entrance to the town, bathed in cold sweat. The sun shone high in the sky, dispelling the shadows of the night. Villa Esperanza looked as desolate and abandoned as before. It was just a nightmare, he told himself, trying to calm his breathing. Just a nightmare. But something had changed. He no longer felt alone. A strange sensation invaded him, a mixture of peace and melancholy. He raised the camera and looked through the lens. He saw the town, the ruined houses, the dusty streets. And he saw the inhabitants of Villa Esperanza, working, playing, loving, living their lives in an eternal loop. This time, they looked at him. They smiled. Marcos smiled back. "Welcome to our eternal home," whispered the voice in his mind. "Welcome to Villa Esperanza." Marcos lowered the camera. He knew he could never leave. He was trapped, like them, condemned to repeat the same day over and over, forever. He was the new inhabitant of Villa Esperanza, the new specter in the ghost town. He had found his eternal home. He raised his camera, ready to record his new life. But before he started, he noticed something else. Behind the camera, staring straight at him through the lens, was himself. The version of him that had arrived in Villa Esperanza. With a macabre smile.